Om Shanti, dear Sister Bhumi. Om Shanti, Didi. Om Shanti, everyone. Yes, I was just listening to what Didi was saying, how the basis of being able to serve is to cooperate. And I appreciated what she was saying about people who live alone, and especially in these days of pandemic, people tended to be very isolated in a way. It was like by law. And today I'm in Argentina. Today we inaugurated our very beautiful retreat center, and so much joy, so much happiness. And you can see the fruit of the cooperation. You can imagine to move everything to be placed like this, to set it up and to make sure everything's right in this, it's quite a big property. There are like 17,000 square meters, so almost 2 hectares of land. And of course, the cooperation needed for this was immense. You can imagine. So I asked the 90 people who are here in our retreat that I'm conducting. It's on happiness, by the way. And within happiness, of course, is the subject of contentment. And I asked how many people live alone. And of course, the majority of people, most number of hands were up of people who live alone. A few live with Lokiks and very few live with other Brahmins. So it's really how and where and why can I practice cooperation, because it's so important in being able to work and live with others. I find that it's easier to be a cooperative person than to actually be in a situation where you are accepting the cooperation of others. So I was thinking there are 3 major influences in our lives. And one of them Didi was mentioning, Sriman. If we are in line with Sriman, we will be more content because our lives are protected from so many things by having our hand in Baba's hand, as he said in this extract from the Abhyakamuli. So the influence of Srimat on our lives, the influence of Paramat means other people's opinions, anyone's opinion who's not God otherwise, all of the fake news that circulates, all of the conspiracy theory that's circulating, all of the opinions about how the world should be and what we should do. These are just the opinions of human beings. Now, doesn't matter how elevated they are, they're still human beings with this, the same failings as all of us. And the other influence, of course, is Manman. Now, I was remembering, and we inaugurated, not only we're inaugurating the retreat center here, we got the good news yesterday that we got a place in town, downtown, because we wanted 2 places at the same time, one for a retreat center and one place downtown, which we are also in the process of purchasing. A very good place, but again, we will need cooperation. We will need people to be free, to be able to cooperate. And this is probably the big thing. Freedom means freedom from devices, freedom from bondages, basically. And there are 2 aspects of freedom. One is to be free from something. I'm free from the vice, I'm free from bondages, I'm free from my old sanskars, and this is the subject of this month. But the other side of freedom, I'm free from, but I'm also free to. I am free to cooperate. I'm free to do Baba service. I'm free to just to be Baba's instrument and get things happening. So I was remembering, we were all remembering the early days. I had made some contacts in a conference on the border of Brazil and Argentina that Baba had told me to do. Baba, this was in 1981, Baba called me in the personal meeting, because in those days we would meet every time Baba comes. Baba said to me, "You have visa problems, don't you?" And it was true. I every 3 months I had to leave the country and go to the border, get my passport stamped, and then come back again and have 3 more months in Brazil. And of course, I hadn't said anything to anyone. This really gave me the feeling that Baba knows. He really knows. I have the feeling also that anyone who's listening online, if they had a personal meeting with Baba, Baba would show definitely that he knows something about what we're doing. And this was such a good feeling. Baba knows that I have visa problems. It was like, wow, what a great honor. Baba is concerned with me. And then he said, don't just go to the border, because I would just go to the border. Brazil has several countries nearby to where I was in Sao Paulo. There are 4 or 5 countries, and I used to go different times to each one. And especially going to the border of Argentina and getting the passport stamped and coming back again. And so Baba said, don't just go to the border. Again, I'm surprised because how Baba knows. It was such a good feeling also. Baba knows that I also just go to the border. He said, don't just go to the border. He said, go to the capital cities of these countries, these nearby countries, and get service happening. A very direct instruction, Sriman. And of course, Baba doesn't only give an instruction, but he'll give the power and the feeling and the blessings to make that happen. And I really felt that Baba was behind this idea, because he knows that somehow or the other, he must have children in these places. And he has to send some instrument there to get that happening. And in this case, he was asking me. So the very first country that I went to, this was in 1981, following Baba's Srimat, direct Srimat, personal Srimat to me, go to a nearby country and get service happening. That was the very first country I went to after Brazil. And of course, I met people at a conference on the border of Brazil and Argentina. And one of them became the instrument to make the invitation. And we set everything up for Sudesh to go to Argentina for the very first conference. We actually planned with her visit to start a center. But at the last minute, I couldn't go because there was a war between Argentina and England. And because Australia, that's my passport, Australian passport, I had I couldn't come here because Australia is like an ally of the UK. So, but anyway, everything got set up and the service started. And it's really true that Baba has the idea. Baba gets things happening. Baba touches the souls. Baba sets up the things. Then he sends a major instrument like Didi Sudesh to get things going. So the thing is, he started with Baba's Sriman. Now, this means, first of all, this is Baba's service. So I won't get ideas for Baba's service from my own mind or from other people's minds. I won't get the best ideas from Manmat or Paramat. I will get them from the Muli. I'll get the inspirations from Amrit Bella. I'll get the inspirations to get things going through my heart-to-heart conversation with Baba. And serving others is really, I'm serving Baba's children. I'm not serving anyone who has a personal relationship with me. Even my brothers and sisters in the Brahmin family, They are Baba's children, and again, I have to serve them by cooperating. And so, in this context, today's Murli, morning Murli, Baba was talking about soul consciousness, body consciousness, the awareness that we have to have. And he said very clearly that if you are body conscious, it's if you were dead. So we have to make our minds dangle. That was at least the English translation, but I think the word Baba used in the Murli in Hindi was dhyana. So it's like if I'm meditating on the body, it's as if I'm dead, because matter doesn't have the components. Yes, the atoms, yes, they are immortal, but the form itself is not. So if I meditate on something, my mind is connected with something which is perishable, I will perish with it. And that's why Baba said it's like it's as if you were dead. And in that context, not to cause sorrow or dukkha to others. And the best translation, in fact, that I've seen of this word dukkha is like dissatisfaction. It's like lack of not being quiet, like lack of quietness. It's like don't cause suffering to others, don't cause sorrow to others, don't cause any grief to others. But all of that just becomes, dissatisfaction, discomfort. And in this context, there are actually three types of happiness. The happiness that I get from others and from matter, which is extremely temporary, like somebody praises me, I have some good food to eat, and I feel, pleased with something that happens. That's one sort of happiness, very limited. There's a second type of happiness that's due to serving others selflessly, to put what I have to put my talents and my qualities and my intellect and my sanskars in Baba's service. And if I want to transform sanskars, this is the best way. If I am just interacting with others and with matter without any consciousness of serving, and of course, without any soul consciousness, and the sort of happiness that comes. That's why the sannyasis say that happiness is like the droppings of a crow, because the happiness of this physical world of Kali Yuga, the happiness that comes from interaction with matter and with other people, is so temporary, and it's so difficult to guarantee it. It's so inconsistent. And so that's why it's not worth anything. But the happiness that I get from serving others and serving with others and inspiring others, when I'm Baba's instrument, I don't know what people need, but Baba knows what they need. And I have to connect up with him, and I have to be in line with the Murli, aligned with the Murli. And I have to, as Baba's instrument, I will pick up something that the soul needs. And it's not what I think they need, it's what they really need from God and not what they need from me. So that sort of happiness, when I can go beyond my own ego self, my own physical identity, and my own preferences and likes, and I make the effort to understand what do souls need through me from Baba, then that's the sort of happiness that's more stable. And it's very much connected, of course, if I feel useful for Baba's task, then that will definitely increase my self-respect. if I do something that I see as useful, and I feel Baba's using me, whatever I have inside of me, Baba's using that somehow and is serving one or the other of his children, that sort of happiness is so much more lasting than getting the happiness of eating some good food, listening to some nice music, or having some temporary success in the world, having money. That's such a temporary sort of mortal, not immortal, perishable happiness. And the one that I get from serving others actually accumulates in my account. But how to serve? Of course, there is the sort of happiness that is beyond the supersensuous joy type of happiness, the bliss type of happiness, when the soul is beyond everything, beyond all of these considerations. It's just sort of floating freely in the soul world. And together with Baba, that of course is the highest type of happiness, the Anand. But anyway, this awareness of being Baba's instrument prepares me to make the effort to feel people's pulse. What do they need? What their soul wants and what they need may be two different things. What they need from God, and I'm Baba's instrument to bring them into touch. So Baba is the source of what they need, and I should not interfere with my own discernment, my own judgment. I just should generally try to pick up what people need. And this is a sort of happiness that becomes contentment. And this is the real cooperation that I give to others. What do people need? Let me just reflect in Baba's remembrance, and the answer comes. So this question of why am I special? And this is a question we have to answer. And in this course on dharana-based leadership, it's very, very important to understand your speciality and put them to use in Baba's service. And it's like, if I have that sort of satisfaction internally, that sort of contentment, then I won't make others dissatisfied. I will not cause sorrow to others. In fact, I will cause sorrow to others only when I have some sorrow that I'm trying to distribute. And on the other side too, if someone is distributing sorrow, I'm not in the market for it. I don't have to take up on it. They say they're offering sorrow. I don't have to take it. Why did I need to take it? So if I start to work on how and why am I special, due to this spiritual birth, due to the fact that it's a confluence age, due to the fact that I have this possibility of a close relationship with God like at no other time, I can do this service of changing and transforming. If I have that attitude to serve, I will definitely find it easier to transform something and to bring out the best in me. So I'm also special due to some specific virtues I have, maybe some specific talents that I need to bring out. And so this sense of being useful for Baba, that he activates my virtues, he divinizes the virtues that are already there and makes them serviceable. That's why dharana is, between of the four main subjects, jnana and yoga like inputs, dharana and seva are outputs. So I'm getting all of this stuff in, the jnana, I'm understanding it, I'm churning it, I'm making it my own. Yoga, I'm having a close relationship with Baba and understanding what he wants me to do, how he wants me to use me. And then I start to think about the sort of virtues that I have within me that will be useful for his service. And as I start to, as Baba starts to use me, my self-respect goes up so much. My real spiritual intoxication goes up so much. So I just put myself at Baba's service, and he will use me, definitely. I've been in so many situations where I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do. The very first time I had to do a workshop with like 100 people in the, let's say in the 80s and the early 90s, we never did workshops. We just gave talks. So at the end of the 90s, we were doing service in Chile. The headquarters of the UN in Latin America at that time were in Santiago. And so we organized for me to give a workshop at the UN in the office in Santiago. And I thought, wait, what am I going to do? There's too many people. I've never worked with 100 people in a workshop setting, maybe 20 maximum, but 100. Anyway, I was sitting there in Umbrella that day, and I was thinking, how am I going to work with 100 people in a workshop setting and keep them interested and keep it interactive and keep the enthusiasm high? And I was meditating, and on the screen of my mind came a picture that we have in our center in Sao Paulo, which was a picture of Krishna dancing with all of the gopis. So many gopis, and each one of them had a Krishna dancing with her. And it's a painting we bought in India, one of those paintings on silk that we can buy in Mount Abu in the township. So as that picture came to mind, as if Baba was saying, don't worry, I will dance with each of those 100 people. I will dance with them. You don't have to dance with anyone. I will dance with them. So that feeling that came in my conversation, heart-to-heart conversation, that was so real. In fact, I really enjoy the heart-to-heart conversations with Baba, because Baba is like someone real in front of me, and he's telling me things what to do. It becomes to me very clear what and how I have to do it. And of course, if I have Baba with me while I'm doing anything, he's the one that is making sure that he's giving something to each soul, because he's responsible. He's the purifier. He's the transformer. He's the savior. He's the source, not me. So as I work with making my virtues more available, my talents, my knowledge of things, my understanding of things, my skills, as I put them at Baba's service or for Baba's service, and he's using me. He's making me more and more satisfied with myself, more and more content. And then I won't cause sorrow to others, because I would only cause sorrow if I was sorrowful. I'm trying to get something out of myself that makes me cause sorrow. There's some difficulty with my own sanskars that makes me have difficulty with the sanskars of others. So these are the sorts of things that come up when we're working together, trying to cooperate with each other to make Baba's service successful. So these were just a few thoughts that I wanted to share today, because today is the 40th year celebration of service here, and it's also the inauguration of a beautiful retreat center. So it's very, very appropriate that the topic is about cooperation and how to cooperate with others, how to accept cooperation from others, how to cooperate in Baba's task and do the best without any selfish motives. Then definitely we'll be able to work and live with others much better. So these were some thoughts. So let's have some meditation now just to finish off. Tomorrow with the homework.
Transformation.